Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to That's Hindsight, the podcast that puts media from the past under the microscope. We look back with hindsight and see whether films from yesteryear hold up today. Hello, my name is Edward Frizzell, and today I am joined by Mr. Mark Shepherd.
Hello there, sir. How are we?
Very good, thank you very much. Fabulous, even.
Oh, fabulous! Wow, that's quite a statement, I would say. You look fabulous.
Thank you. Likewise. Also, here we have Taylor Blackman. Hi, Taylor.
Hello, how are we? Oh, well, you've already asked that. So, I'm feeling Christmassy.
Christmassy, excellent.
Yep.
Yes, a little peek behind the curtain. It's not actually Christmas, but we were slightly delayed in recording this one due to various local restrictions and whatnot, but we thought we would still carry on regardless in the new year.
And we have now moved ourselves to an online capacity, remote capacity. So I can't look at all your lovely faces close up, which is something of a bonus, I suppose.
Usually you're right in our faces when we record this.
Yes, absolutely. Bear with us if it's a little bit different than usual, but I'm sure we'll soon get used to it, won't we?
So what have you guys been up to? Up to anything interesting?
Well,
Christmas?
had Christmas. Yep, that was it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a Christmas, wasn't it?
It was
Well,
a
it
different
happened.
one, yes.
Yep, it was Christmas. I'm not sure we would have known if it wasn't for decorations being up, because no one saw anyone, but never mind.
It is the proper January lug now, isn't it? When you go out and it's like, you go out at night and there's no sparkle anywhere. It's just sad.
I hate
That's
it.
very true. I think I got more depressed. I usually get a bit depressed when Christmas is over, but this year, more so taking the decorations down, it was definitely worse because I was a bit like, oh yeah, we could have another whole year like this until the next one. But yes,
I similarly like you was the same to the point where I didn't actually take down all my lights. I've left up one string of lights that sort of goes round essentially the whole inside of my house. That's a nice warm white, and it's just nice in the evening. It's cosy. I think a cosy January, February, and I'll take it down when the spring's sprung or whatever.
made yourself a nice little snug there,
Absolutely, get all cosy, and yeah, it's definitely helped a little bit. I must admit, it makes it not quite so drab straight away.
When does spring start officially?
March time. I mean, the
Yeah.
spring solstice is around 21st of March, somewhere like that, I think. So, but I always group it in months. So December, January, February for me is winter. So March, April, May, spring. I don't imagine I shall take them down at all at that point because I'll be too lazy to do it. But
Might as well leave them up now.
I might turn them off. I won't turn them off either. They'll just stay on all year.
Right, okay, that's enough seasons chat.
Oh.
Let's get to the matter at hand here, can we please? So,
Yes.
let's take a journey back. To 2006. 2006, my word. Can you remember that year, Taylor?
Yeah, I do.
I'm
The
asking
facts
you
I've
because it's
picked-
probably the first one you can.
This is the
Yeah.
first one, isn't it? Yeah.
The facts I've picked, 2 of them I actually remember. So in 2006, I would have been 6/7. So,
So upsetting. So
but
upsetting.
I'm really happy that I feel involved this time. Like I'm alive.
Good.
Okay, yeah, you exist.
It's better. Do you two remember 2006?
Yeah, I remember it quite well. I was at university, and I remember coming home in the summer and discovering Magners cider and watching England in the World Cup. They're my memories of 2006.
I mean, I don't remember it as specifically a year. I think most of my 20s blended together into one mess of nothing.
I think Mark and I met in 2006. Thinking about
Actually,
it.
you are right there. We did meet in 2006.
Oh, how exciting!
What random? Yeah.
I already knew. No, I didn't know you.
You didn't know either of us in 2006.
No,
No.
more like 2012.
Right.
Bit
Yeah.
later.
Ed approached me and asked me to be in a short film.
It
And
was an adult film.
adult film, absolutely. And
It
I took my
wasn't
trousers off and I loved Blossom.
Never look back.
No, that's it. that took place in the Old George as well, didn't it? Which is our local tavern.
I knew you were going to say tavern.
Tavern.
Like, I just knew.
Yes. Which was since then has been renovated and is our place to go, I think, these days. But yeah, so wow, I didn't think that's the most important thing that happened in 2006.
We'll scrap everything else.
No other facts. No facts.
Speaking of facts, though, I do have some here, and I hope you have prepared some also that we can go around and discuss 2006 to try and set the scene a little bit here.
Go for it.
I'll kick off with NASA successfully launched the New Horizons project, and the idea of this was to send this probe into outer space, and its main objective was to photograph Pluto, which it achieved in 2015, which you think 9 years just floating along, waiting to
That's
get
incredible.
there.
I think I remember it happening in 2015. I remember the photos. I'm sure I do. Yeah.
And,
wow.
And apparently it had, I'm paraphrasing a lot here, I think it had like 6 gigabytes of data to send back or something that it could do at 1 kilobyte a second.
Oh my God.
So it took like over a year.
That's amazing. When they sent that up, 6 gig was probably quite a lot of space as well. You know.
Yeah.
Filled up the hard drive. Wow, that's impressive.
On a completely different note,
Mm.
Disney quietly cut ties with McDonald's so not to be associated with childhood obesity.
Oh, yeah.
Were they completely linked until 2006 then, all the toys were Disney?
I don't think they all were. I just think they used to do it whenever they had a film coming out.
The last ones were Pirates of the Caribbean and Cars.
I've got to be honest, I didn't know that they had Tide ties. No.
So tied.
I didn't know they had dropped ties. What's the saying? Say it again?
They
cut ties. Oh my God. Yeah. I didn't realise there's cut ties with Disney. But yeah, I suppose now I think about it, they don't.
It's
really
probably
have
after
anymore.
that Super Size Me documentary. I don't know if you remember that, where the bloke I think he just ate McDonald's for a month.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
And tracked the kind of damage it did to his body.
Yeah, which I forever think was a weird thing to do, because who's going to eat only McDonald's for a month? Like
YouTubers.
Yeah, well, idiots. Yeah. All right, then on a more technological note, whilst they were created in 2000, Blu-rays were first made available in 2006, and they could contain up to 5 times more than DVDs. And it's funny to think now that a lot of, Blu-rays are even there getting more obsolete again. So like everything's going streaming or up in the cloud. So while that was a big technological leap, it's no longer relevant much either. I still
And
buy
Blu-ray did win the epic battle, didn't it?
It did. Blu-ray, HD, DVD.
I love how different our facts are. Like, my facts are just completely off-peak to you guys'.
I think my other ones are a bit more... Like, that was just a specifically technological one, I thought, because I like a Blu-ray.
I like to think you keep us grounded, Taylor. With
that's it. Keep us grounded.
Yeah. Eurovision in 2006, which I'm sure everyone knows about, the recent Netflix film would have given quite an accurate sample of what it's like. It was won by the Finnish heavy metal band Lordi.
Oh, yes.
Which was quite a big thing at the time. Because usually it would be won by a pop song or, a catchy tune. But this was heavy metal winning. Very surprising.
It was kind of the start of definitely different kinds of songs winning Eurovision. Because there's been a few different ones since then, or different sort of artists and stuff. But it does feel like that was the first one to sort of break the mould. But I do remember it because I'm an avid Eurovision watcher. Definitely in an ironic fashion, but that's good. I didn't realise that's all the way back then. Wow, that just makes me feel old again.
Yeah.
Ha. Sorry. Did you?
Yeah.
You know the song "The Year 3000"? So it was originally released in Busted by Busted in 2003, but it was covered by the Jonas Brothers in 2006 for their first anthem. And I'm pretty sure the Jonas Brothers version did significantly better than the Busted version. Even though I remember the Busted version.
I mean,
Probably
I
UK,
couldn't
US
name
split.
one song by the Jonas Brothers, so that's
Could
interesting.
you not? Yes, you could.
No, I couldn't.
Did you never watch
No,
Camp
I
Rock?
don't think I could.
Are they even brothers? Is that just a name?
No,
I don't know
they're
anything
brothers.
about them.
I
Oh,
can
it's-
name one. Year 3000.
They're so good. I love the Jonas Brothers.
What's their
Watched
most famous
documentary on
song?
Prime. Oh, I've no idea.
Well, what's
Probably
your
one-
favourite Jonas Brothers song?
You're putting me on the spot and I can't remember
Too
one.
right I am, because you reckon I could name one and I don't know any.
I love how stressed you suddenly became then, Taylor, trying to think of the
I knew
your
it was
favourite
going to
Jonas Brothers
come.
song.
I genuinely have no idea what they
I
sing.
think Jonas Brothers falls into that category of something like, you hear Roblox, that video game that apparently is like the most popular thing, but I never come in contact with it. I don't even know what it looks like, but I know apparently it's this thing, and I think Jonas Brothers is the same for me.
I have played
So-
Roblox.
Their most favourite song was released in 2019. It's called Sucker.
Never heard of it.
Sucker.
You've got What a Man Gotta Do. What a Man Gotta Do. What a Man Gotta Do.
Oh, that kind of does kind of ring a bell.
I remember Nick Jonas went solo, didn't he?
He did. They split up, so they only got back together in 2019.
Wait, is one of them one of the ones that's in Jumanji?
Yeah, Nick Jonas.
Oh,
Married- yeah.
okay. I know him.
And Joe Jonas is married to Sophie Turner.
Oh,
And that's
wouldn't,
the tea.
A, I wouldn't know that, and B, I don't care. Celebrity marriage, like, Whoopi.
Whoopi Goldberg, who's she married
Whoopi, married to the job.
to the craft.
Yeah. All right, let's just spin this off into something a bit different. Well, it's still a song, actually. So, well, it is and it isn't. Russ Heller set the record for listening to Starship's We Built This City in 2006, and he listened to the song consecutively for 24 hours, reaching 324 listens. What a weird thing to do.
No,
Like-
why would you do that?
The thing is I don't feel like that would be that hard to do. Surely you just
No.
put it on and just carry on with your day.
What if you're not allowed to do anything else, though?
I'm guessing there must be some other stipulations to it, like just literally sit there and do nothing else. But
I don't think I'd even want to do that with my favourite song.
I listen to songs again and again and again and again.
Oh, I do that, but 24 hours.
yeah, would it eventually just become like white noise, wouldn't it? You just wouldn't even hear it. But I just found that really random thing to do, and like a weird song to choose as well.
Yeah.
There you go.
And does that mean that I can set the record for the Beatles' Hey Jude then?
I guess, yeah. Is there one for every single song? Or is it
Yeah.
just like that's the song that they use to sing to it, listen to it the most times? I don't know. I haven't got all the facts for the facts, I'm afraid. I apologise.
Okay, a bit of sad news here. Brother of Sean, Chris Penn, died in 2006.
Oh, wow.
I don't know who it is. Sorry.
Well, you were 6 at the time, so...
Yeah. He used to be in quite a lot of films you'd see him pop up in and stuff like that. I didn't know.
I bring him
died
up
in
because he
2006.
died quite young. Younger than
Yeah.
he should have done, really.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Sticking with the dead celebrities of 2006. Steve
keep it
Irwin, TV's Crocodile Hunter, was killed.
What a
in freak
legend.
act. I was obsessed with him. Like, he was like basically a David Attenborough, the Australian David Attenborough.
David Battenberg. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I say that? No.
No, but you started to say Battenborough.
Yeah, but
He was
That was-
amazing, Steve Irwin
and his
was.
daughter at his funeral, that was like an iconic television moment that rang for everyone.
Yeah, I didn't see that, so
Did you not?
I wouldn't watch someone's funeral on TV, but he was so big at the time. I've even got randomly in home videos us pretending to be Steve Irwin. I mean, for no excuse, because we were all in our 20s, but like we were still pretending to be Steve Irwin, like randomly splashing through the water with an Australian accent. But there you go. Dear, that's yeah. We miss Steve. We miss them all. All right, well, I'm going to be slightly less depressing and do a random, come full circle and go back into space. And a Russian cosmonaut hit a golf ball in space for an estimated 2.2 billion yard drive during a spacewalk. I think that's quite impressive.
Billion-yard drive.
2.2 billion yard drive. I mean, that ball's probably still going now.
Yeah.
So that's quite a good fact, and that's brought us all the way around. I think, really, hasn't it?
It has. The only things I've got to tell you now is that the highest grossing film in 2006 was Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Man's Chest, which was the first sequel in the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. The best-selling album (brackets in the US) was High School Musical soundtrack.
Oh, what an absolute tune!
I was going to say what absolute something else, but
Have you watched High School Musical?
no.
Never.
Maybe we'll get to do it on this
I
podcast one day.
hope
We will if it's my
we
turn.
don't.
I shouldn't have given her that idea.
Was that also out in 2006? Because that wipes that off for a good
I think it was. I
30
think
to
it
40
was.
episodes at least. You know.
There's High School Musical too.
Well, there's so many High School Musicals. Like, I'm sure now there's High School Musical, the TV show on Disney Plus or something at the minute. Like, how ridiculous! It gets
I
to a
haven't
point
seen it.
where
Yeah.
it's got 2 caveats in the title. Right.
I think High School Musical probably did make singing cool again, because I think the TV show Glee got quite popular after that.
And it brought us the likes of Zac Efron, who I think's a great actor. He's got
An
got some real
absolute
talent.
delicacy.
He's very. I wouldn't describe him as a delicacy myself, but he is quite delicious.
Okay, well, on that, we're going to be back in just a second to talk about our film of the episode, The Holiday. Right, so on this show today, we're going to be discussing the festive treat that is The Holiday. Okay, well, let's just find out everyone's background with this film. Taylor, had you seen this film before?
Yes, I had, but I think only once or twice, or caught bits of it on the telly. Mark?
I've never seen it in my life, for no real reason other than I just hadn't really ever watched it. The cover always put me off a little bit. I was like, this looks too rommy for me in terms of a rom-com. Although I do like all the cast, so it's just been one of them films that's always sat on the back burner. So it was a good reason to finally watch it.
I've watched it a number of times. It tends to be on heavy rotation throughout the Christmas period for me and my wife. We have a list of films that we always watch at Christmas, and it's always on there. So I'm quite familiar with the film.
Oh, good.
In a word, what do you think? Give your first word. Mark, what do you think?
Long.
Ed, what do you think?
Troubled.
I would say cheer.
Cheer. I think before we actually get into it, I think just I've got to say, like, in terms of a Christmas film, I didn't think of it that much as a Christmas film. Like, it takes place at Christmas and it happens because of Christmas. But in terms of it actually being Christmassy, didn't find it that Christmassy. Could have happened at any point during the year, really. And I think that upset me the most about it. I was expecting a real Christmassy film because everyone raves about it being such a Christmas film. And I was like, realistically, there's not a lot of Christmas in this film.
When did you watch it?
Yesterday, which is not in Christmas.
I think that would take away part of the Christmasiness.
No, I disagree, because, like, apart from the fact that it happens because it's Christmas, you don't see a lot of Christmas stuff in this film, really. A Christmas party, and then they're both just at each other's houses and doing stuff. There's the odd mention of it.
I don't think it helps that half of it is set in LA.
No.
Yeah, well, probably not, no.
It's very sunny and it looks like summer there.
Yeah. But anyway, I just want to get that out there because I maybe that has coloured my opinion of it. But we'll see. But I mean, so the film starts, doesn't it? And it already starts with a voiceover about love, and that just did not start well for me. And so I was like, straight into this, I'm like, oh no, I don't need a monologue about what love is. It's Love Actually all over again, sort of thing. But I did think it was a good, quick way to introduce us to all the characters, because you see a little bit of each one. But it does describe it in a very Love Actually way, of each person's got this different sort of version of love, like lost love and unrequited love. But yeah, a nice way to introduce us to each of the main players, as it were.
I'd agree. So we've got Iris, who's played by Kate Winslet. So we're introduced to her. She works for a paper. She's at a Christmas party. Everyone's enjoying themselves, and then she's kind of isolated in her office, wrapping a present until her boss comes in, who she's had some sort of relationship with. I've got to say, I think I prefer the Cameron Diaz character to the Iris.
I think I like Cameron Diaz anyway. She's one of those people I can just enjoy in a film. Her character's probably less whiny than Kate Winslet's one. I will constantly refer to them by their actress names because at no point did I ever really know what their names were in the film.
Iris, who is Kate Winslet, I find her character is a bit of like a contradiction because like she's quite strong and like works for this in this quite sought after position, so she's clearly quite intelligent in what she does working for this paper, and then she just comes across as just so desperate, and like when this whole Jasper comes in and she's like, oh please don't go like that, and he's like, I've got your present, I lost it, it's in the car or something, and she actually got him a present. I'm just like, you have a self-awareness about yourself of what this is like. Why are you like this? But I know people do crazy things for love, so there we go.
It's all, I suppose the film shows her eventually taking life by the reins and realising that she doesn't have to be helpless. But for a start of an introduction to character, she really, really contrasts with the other main character, Amanda Woods, who's played by Cameron Diaz, who's a workaholic who owns and produces a movie company, movie trailers even, in LA. And she's just had her husband cheat on her. I like the scene, like, of her chasing him out the house, shouting at him. I don't like the punch.
I literally wrote, good punch.
It's a powerful punch. You feel it.
She punches him twice, and I think but I didn't understand why that guy that she's dating was fighting so much for that relationship that he clearly didn't seem to be that into. Like he was cheating on her with someone else who he states quite obviously that she's in love with him, but he's still trying to keep this relationship going. I was like, why? Just what are you getting out of this? I don't really get it. But no.
I quite enjoyed that cameo because that's Edward Burns. It's quite a nice little contained cameo there. But I always read it as that he had this affair with the secretary, and now the secretary is obsessed with him. But maybe he wants to stay with Amanda. I don't know. But I do find it quite funny. His kind of reactions to stuff she says is a bit like...
I think it's maybe a power thing as well. She's obviously got a very well-paying job, and it's all about the way you look, isn't it, in that sort of business as such.
Yeah. But no, I did like though. After that, we went back in, and there was a couple of cameos as well. Like when we found out that she's this trailer person. There was Jim from The Office, who's John Krasinski, and Catherine Hahn, who's in loads of stuff now.
Lindsay Lohan.
Well, and then there's the trailer as well with James Franco and Lindsay Lohan in, and I was just like, I want to see that film. But I was like, I was a bit excited because I thought, there's some other people in this I really like, and we never see him again.
No,
like neither one of them. Like it's just like, oh, okay. So that was just a one-time thing, but I did.
He does have a great line though, when Amanda's going on about stress aging women, and then she goes, "This is just women, by the way," and then it cuts to him. He goes, "I'm sorry."
Yeah. Very Jim. Yeah. For Iris at their Christmas party is where she finds out that the guy that she's obsessed with is engaged to someone else at work, and I think that's just an important point to drop in because that does come up later as well. But I also found that struck me as a bit odd, like, because does she really have no idea that he was in another relationship with another person that was going towards marriage? Like, it comes across like to her like it's like out of nowhere, and it's just like, you must have known about this. How could you possibly have avoided any kind of information regarding this event? But it is a bit of a moment where you do feel for a little bit, because obviously it's you're supposed to. But yeah, but no, I want to say that because obviously, yeah, that does come back later. That, and obviously it was in, obviously a lot apparently, sorry, I do apologise. In 2006, we must have been saying the word shag a lot, because while she's talking to a mate at the party, they must have said shag about 10 times in 2 sentences, like shag, 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 and I was just like, wow, no one says that anymore.
I wonder if that's, I don't know who wrote it actually, but whether it's American kind of, British people say shag, don't they?
Yeah, it felt like that. And maybe it was around the time of Austin Powers as well. I can't remember when that came out, but like when she goes back to her cottage, my immediate reaction was, that looks so fake. And then I looked it up and it was fake. It's not even a real cottage.
It is.
really?
You can go there.
It's not a real cottage. It's entirely made up. It was built for the film. So you could go there. There's nothing there.
Looks
yeah.
really homey.
I always thought it looked amazing.
It looked so, immediately saw it, I was just like, that's not real.
Oh, interesting.
So clearly I've got an eye for these things now. Especially when you're looking for them, I guess.
I like the concept of the switch. It is done very quickly, but I suppose it wouldn't have made for a very good film if it was done slowly.
Yeah, I did say, I wrote to myself this, obviously during the safer days of the internet. Because the whole concept of it is just like, you swap everything. Your house, your car, all the, like, just literally just dropping each other's lives. Like, you wouldn't dream of doing that now.
The logistics involved in that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, because apparently Amanda is insured on Iris's car as well during this time.
There's so many question marks that you have to sort of, like, allow just for the film to actually happen. But that and the fact that they both seem to get like flights on what must have been a couple of days before Christmas without any trouble at all. Like, it all happens very quickly and easily.
I like the juxtaposition of the life switches.
Yeah.
It's all supposed to be very contrasty, isn't it? Like big to little and vice versa. And
Yeah, it's a good dynamic for the film. It's a good concept to be based on.
Oh yeah, it works well. Because I suppose it wouldn't have been as good if they'd have been in similar positions. But, you wouldn't get that. Well, you wouldn't get what is about the next 20, 25 minutes of the film, where it's just like, this is so big, this is so small.
Amanda then she comes to the UK, doesn't she? There's a scene where she's dragging her suitcase along that long walk, even though because the taxi can't get there.
Yeah, what I don't get, that driver is just like, do you mind walking from here, miss? If I go down there, I won't be able to turn it round.
Everyone else in the
he
film.
drives down there later, though.
Yeah, I wrote that. She drives down there later. But, like, can I just go back to when she's on the plane and she has the weird dream that's like a trailer? And
I really like that.
I like that.
But it comes out of nowhere. And, like, I was a bit like, what's happening here? Like, she's not even asleep. It just kind of happens in her head. And I'm like, is she nuts?
But I think that comes from her working too much, is that she is working and putting her life as a trailer now.
Yeah.
I guess so. But, like, she's popping these pills all this time right at the early start of the film as well. Like, she's got this heart thing. And I was like, oh, this is going to come back later. And it never really does. It's just a weird thing at the start of the film where you think... I honestly thought between that and then when Kate Winslet's character lands and all this wind, I thought both things were going to be really relevant late in the film. Like, oh, that's going to be how they can't get a flight because it's windy, and she has a heart attack or something. And neither one of them pays off. And I was just genuinely like, what was all this about? Because that is always how it happens. Like, you set something up early in the film and, like, drop it in your mind, and then it comes back later. And it feels like they rewrote it somewhere along the lines. And none of this stuff was relevant anymore for some reason. And yeah, sorry, that really bothered me.
I mean, I don't know whether, again, are the pills a slightly less subtle way of saying this woman has stress from work?
I guess so, maybe.
And is the wind purely there to set up it's probably like a big thing in LA, but
they really lean into it.
It's just there for Jack Black to get something out of her eye.
But like it
bit
even
later.
comes up a few times later on. Like it's really windy. Like when he's talking to his missus later, and she mentions it to the gardener. Like the wind thing keeps coming up, and I really thought that was going to be like the wind's so bad that he can't take off at the end. And no, nothing. Just it was windy. Now it's not. But sorry. Anyway, that was my takeaway on that.
So the other side, so while the wind is happening, you've got Amanda who doesn't like the UK. She's not a fan. She books a flight home. She's ready to go back. And you get Jude Law, who's Iris's brother, Graham. He shows up. He's been drinking. He thinks Iris is home, but she's not. And he wants to stay the night. Sure, like, the safety levels of this film. Like, yeah, come on in. Like, they obviously have not watched true crime documentaries. But again, I like it because it's warm and fuzzy. But
And why has Iris not told Graham that she's going away? Like, she's an adult kind of... You just wouldn't not tell anyone, would you? And going a bit before that as well, like, Cameron Diaz's experiences of the UK are driving the Mini down the country roads while closing her eyes at points to avoid cars. Drink driving as well. Coming home, listening to the Killers. No, I hate the UK.
But like, there's other things about it. But like the fact that Jude Law has walked all the way to this house just to go to the toilet and say like, isn't his house closer? Doesn't he live in the village? I just generally couldn't get my head around it. Like, especially like when you see his house and you're like, why would you come here? It made no sense to me at all. But
he says he sleeps there so he doesn't drive. So maybe he lives further away. I don't know.
Like her house is really far away to the point that it comes up several times in the film, where it's an epic journey across fields and down long lanes. Some that don't even look like a car have ever been down them. It's just, but yeah, of course, again, you've got to allow it because otherwise the plot can't move on. So I just, yeah.
Also, why did they call him Graham when no one seems to be able to say his name properly? Graham.
I don't Americans say it like Graham anyway.
Graham's
crackers, isn't it? Yeah. It was an odd choice of a name. Yeah, bless him. Oh, and it annoyed me that he was obviously drunk and always drunk. It come across like, all he does at the weekends is drink. And I was like, is that because all English people are always drunk? Yeah. Definitely felt like this film was written by Americans. I don't mean that in necessarily a nasty way. Just there was a lot of English stereotypes, and I didn't find there was a lot of American stereotypes. Like everything English was very quaint, and like for some reason they all live in Surrey, right? Which fair enough, but like it felt like Surrey to me was supposed to be about 2 minutes away from London. Like if they work in London every day, that's a hell of a commute. And it was just a bit like, come on, it's not quite as quaint as all that. But that don't matter. But then they just start making out on the couch as well.
I find it really interesting that you're looking at this film with such a the way that you look at it if you like it. So you're looking at this film the way I look at Lethal Weapon.
Yeah, well, I mean,
because... It's interesting to see, isn't it?
I think it's easy to pick holes in a lot of stuff, but at the same time, I get why they start kissing because they're both... Amanda, in her head, is leaving the next day.
Yeah. And
Jude Law is drunk. Graham, I should say, is drunk and just thinking, sweet. And they're thinking, it's going to be just a one-off thing and then we'll say goodbye. So I can appreciate how that would arise. Whether you like the dialogue building up to that, I don't know.
Well, I also think it helps the fact that they're both pretty people. So this thing seems to be just an okay thing to do. Like, if one of them was an uggo, don't think it would have happened. Do you know what I mean, though?
Yeah.
We're both attractive, so this is fine. But if one of them hadn't have been, just started kissing the other one, it wouldn't have been the same conversation.
Yeah, and there's also something that kind of bugs me about this in a little way, is that they've chosen partners for the two women that kind of match their builds. So,
Yeah.
Amanda ends up with Graham, who's like this really in shape, good looking guy, and Iris, who's by no means overweight or whatever, but slightly, I would say, a bigger size than Amanda is, has to get with Jack Black, who's like this bigger, uglier guy, and it's like, it's a bit like, come on, that like it could have been better than that.
Yeah, agreed.
I don't think Iris and Jack Black's character should have ended up together anyway.
Wow, why?
It was unnecessary. They were friends. There was never anything romantic there, was there? Until suddenly she's over him and he's over her, and it felt just forced. Like, Iris's plot revolves around the older man.
I think he's a bit creepy as well, Jack Black, because he comes across as this really like caring guy and everything, but then is like weirdly overly close and a bit touchy-feely while he has a girlfriend.
Yeah.
I must admit, I didn't think about that much. I much prefer their storyline to the Amanda Graham one anyway, so I was always a bit more invested in theirs. Found the Amanda Graham storyline very just boring, just like, oh, let's just sleep
it's more
together
romantic.
a lot. Oh, now we're in love.
Yeah,
is it? Is
when
it
she
more
walks
romantic?
into the pub and she hasn't left, like, so the next, he basically says, if you don't leave, come and see me again, basically. And so she then goes to the pub later that night, and he's
that bit,
like,
yeah,
it's just
I'll give you
warm,
that.
isn't it? It's the romance of them.
That bit's probably the only romantic bit they really have.
I think it's romantic when they're laying in the tent with the children, with his children.
Is that romantic with the kids involved? Weird.
Yeah, but I think it's the warm fuzzy, like the family. Do you know what I mean? She doesn't have
I guess
that.
so. I did write time moves weirdly in this film because you're never really sure
It's
where
a long
we
time.
are. But like, yeah, so it jumps from one night to the next night without any nothing happening at all. During night. She goes to the airport and it's evening again. And in the meantime, Iris seems to have been in bed for about 48 hours. Like, wakes up and then goes immediately back to bed again. I was like, okay, I don't really know what day is what. Like, I'm never really sure what day they actually go out because it's not Christmas Eve for a few days, is it? So...
And you also don't see Christmas Day either.
Yeah.
I do not.
It's Christmas Eve, and then we catch up with them after.
Yeah. It's like,
Christmas.
what did either of them do on Christmas Day? Like,
Iris then eventually meets Arthur, who's an older gentleman who was he was a screenwriter back in his day, but a pretty famous one. I
did
like
his
their
character.
friendship.
I like
yeah.
his character.
I found this entire old man subplot just to be
Aww,
just a
it's
tedious.
nice.
Oh, it's just like, I was not interested in it at all. Like, it just felt like they didn't have any other way to sort of get them closer. So let's just throw this into the mix. I don't know. I found it really weird. I just didn't. It held no interest for me at all. Just couldn't get behind it. Like, it was not. Don't get me wrong. It was nice. It was, it's a nice thing to do. But I just was a bit like, oh, I don't. This is obviously not going to go anywhere.
I thought there was lots of nice little moments in there, like that bit where she helps him into his house, and then looks across and there's just like a casual Oscar on the windowsill, and you're like, can you imagine if you'd helped someone and been like, bloody hell, you're an Oscar winner?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I thought that was going to be it. I thought, oh, this is just a little scene to get her in the area. Was not expecting this to be the whole her half of the film.
I have got to say, from now until the end of the film, it completely blurs in my mind. You've got... there's three things going on, aren't there? There's Iris and Jack Black, there's Iris and Arthur, and then there's Amanda and Jude Law.
But there's very little Jack Black at this point in the film. Like, realistically. He pops up now and again, but it's more Iris and Arthur. And that's what annoyed me about it. I want more Iris and Jack Black, because obviously you know they're going to get together by the end of the film. And I agree, like, actually, in some ways, what you said a little while ago about the fact that they perhaps wished they've been together, because they don't seem to spend that much time with each other, really. But this is another one of them times in the film where you're not really sure how much time has passed, because they sort of, this whole thing about Arthur getting ready for the this award thing that he doesn't want to get, and like obviously a montage of trying stuff on. Like, how long does that go over? Like, do they spend a lot of time with each other? Is it just a day?
I love the montages.
It does
I
well
love
for montages.
The pool, walking back and forth.
Meanwhile, she's watched like 10 films as well that he's recommended.
Yeah. Like, it's just, I don't know.
Time is a weird thing in this film.
It's definitely all over the place. I did like the little Hanukkah party scene, I must admit. I found that quite amusing. There was some, don't get me wrong, I didn't hate it. I just the whole old subplot, the old man subplot was just a bit blah.
But also in this section, you then have the boss, Jasper, is reaching out to Iris to ask her to read his stuff. So he's still there-ish, like showing that he still needs her, but he's also not.
Well, he's just keeping her dangling, isn't he?
Yeah.
But it's quite nice that you see, but I like, as much as anything else, I suppose, Jack Black's supposed to be a reason for her to get over him, because, like, she starts to go and spend time with him and throws the thing on the side, doesn't she? Sort of like she's not interested in it. So I was actually, okay, good. She's starting to get past it.
Amanda finds out that Graham has children. We did mention that briefly, but I do like that he's, because in the start of the film he's portrayed as this drinker, party guy, doesn't really care about anything or anyone. It's actually the complete he keeps his two lives completely isolated to protect his family, which I like. It's
It
nice.
does. I mean, I knew something like that was coming, because obviously the fact that the phone kept ringing and it kept coming up with different girls' names, I'm like, this is not going to be what we think it is. This is not going to be a lot of other women. But yeah, it's a nice reveal. And that is a nice scene with the kids in the house. Mr. Napkinhead I found quite amusing, to be fair, which was apparently all improvised by Jude Law.
Impressive.
So, yeah,
It is. This is one of the reason I think this film is loved so much to this day is the fact it is that warm feeling, like the warm feeling of the snowy white Christmas. That's why I think I like the Amanda Graham plot more.
It's comfort food, isn't it?
Yeah,
that kind
definitely.
of. It's just easy, and my only question is who's looking after the kids when Graham is.
Yeah,
his
party,
grandparents in it.
Yeah, but some of it is very short notice.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of question marks as to where I mean, maybe his parents live down the road or something, and so they can just drop him off. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it does seem like he disappears and reappears at will.
Yeah, let's take a quick break and then we'll be back to discuss the end and give our final thoughts. See you soon. And welcome back. So, we carry on here with Iris becoming quite chummy with elder statesman of Hollywood, Arthur.
Yeah, so this is the part where this whole thing about this awards ceremony starts to kick in now, where he gets the letter, throws it away, and then she opens it up and he doesn't want to go, and she's really pressuring him into it for some reason. Known this guy for a few days, already telling him what to do.
I think she understands that it's a good recognition to have, and the reason he doesn't want to go is because he's embarrassed of aging, really.
Well, I think he's also concerned that no one will think he's relevant. No one will come, which I would understand that, because obviously he did a lot of his work a long time ago. You would probably feel that way, wouldn't you? Like, it's not the screenwriters people remember, it's the people on the screen. So I see where he was coming from. But yeah, I mean, that's fair enough. And I suppose she's pushing him to get out more, and then we have a nice little bit about her helping him to walk. Like, there's another montage on it and stuff like that, which was quite nice. I mean, it's all very heartwarming, isn't it? The old man part, it's
It is, and I kind of feel like this is the real love story for Iris.
Yeah.
Not really Jack Black's involvement. I don't really feel it's needed. But
I completely agree. I don't think that was. It's nice that she has this relationship. Why does she have to fall in love?
It's a rom-com, I guess. Needs to be some rom.
But there is rom.
We've got that with Amanda and Graham.
Oh, I don't find it that romantic. Just a sex fest.
best.
All they do is bang. Like, they turn up at one of these other's house and eventually they're having sex within a few minutes. It's there's only a couple of moments that aren't really involved about them having it off.
They go for that lunch, don't they, around that old stately home, and
Oh yeah, and there's a
they
montage.
chat about their past, and we find out that Amanda hasn't cried since her parents got divorced.
I did write that right at the start, actually, that I quite like the fact she can't cry. It does come up a few times. Her trying to make herself cry were bits that I did like.
I literally cry on a daily basis.
Well, you're a very emotional person.
Literally go to get some Nutella out of the jar, there's none left, cry.
Oh, God. I couldn't live on the edge like that all the time.
It sounds quite unstable, Taylor.
Yeah.
I'm worried about you.
Seek help.
Nah, I'm only but it's common, I think, for most people to know when... I know when I last cried, probably like 3 or 4 days ago.
Without generalising, I mean, I certainly couldn't tell you the last time I cried. Probably at a funeral.
Probably a pet for me. A pet death.
Yeah.
Is when I've cried, I think.
I've had a few misty moments, we'll say that, but never a cry. Anyway,
this got deep.
Who can cry? Yeah.
Do it now.
Yeah. I did like. You see, I mean, I know you guys are anti the Jack Black romance, but I like the scene where he's writing a little like intro tune for Arthur. And they just sit at the piano, and he's written one for Iris as well. And it was cheesy but sweet. I liked it. You know, I thought it was a nice
notes.
Yeah, I thought it was a nice romantic moment. But obviously Taylor hated it.
I didn't hate it.
I can see your face.
It's weird that Jack Black is in such a different role. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's never...
It's very unique for him.
Yeah, it's very unique. And I think that just part of that just takes out any romance or...
That might be my prejudice to why I think he's a little creepy, actually.
Yeah, but and you're too used to all of his roles since then. But, like, when he did this, he hadn't been in anywhere near as much stuff, had he? It was quite early on in his acting career. I did like that it doesn't seem to matter what film he's in, he can't not be scatting away at some point.
Yeah.
Like, but that is him all over, really, isn't it? So I suppose it was quite a good idea to give him a role that allowed him to do it a little bit. Because I like the scene in Blockbuster. Because I like that random Dustin Hoffman cameo when they're in the video shop. So apparently I looked this up as well. Because I was like, I expected them to go back to him. And obviously they didn't. And it turned out he was either going past or they saw they were filming, popped in, knew the director, Nancy Myers, so she just wrote it in and put him in there for just the sake of it. Just that one line, I can't go anywhere. It's just like, that was great.
I like that.
So that was quite funny. And then they are having dinner, aren't they? And then his ex phones up, and that whole scene's just painful. But I'm glad like the end of it is better because you think, oh, he's going to go back to her, and it's all handled so badly. You think. I always think people in films, I know it's done for the sake of it, but it's just like, you wouldn't handle it like this. If you were out for lunch with another woman, you wouldn't be like, yeah, I'm going to leave, and start looking at you watching stuff.
But they're friends.
But they're not. I mean, there's clearly a romantic undertone by this point.
There's a boob grace in that scene.
Yeah. And that apparently was also written because it happened in real life between Jack Black and I think the director, and she wrote it in as well. Like, I found that quite funny. Yeah, and then Rufus turns up at the house. Like, how does he?
It's not.
Sorry, what his character's name is?
Jasper.
Rufus. I never got any of their
like
names. He like, how did he know where she was?
She wrote back to him on his material or something, didn't she?
Well, it's just.
Oh, she might have given the address.
Oh, he did.
For him to send the script.
I didn't think of that at the time, and I forgot that obviously it got hand delivered, and I was expecting it to be like emailed or something.
I don't like the fact she's instantly like, oh, he's come for me. But I love it when she is like, she goes off and she's like, I don't like the fact she's like, I'm finally over you. It's like, what do you mean you're fine? Like, you've just been there hugging him, kissing him, so glad you're back, and now miraculously you don't like. It was a bit too quick a switch for me, but for the plot, I suppose it shows her character development.
Yeah.
I mean, but like, why wouldn't you immediately ask, "Are you still engaged?" Like, seems they spent the whole evening together, and now they're finally like intertwined almost. It's like, "Oh no, I am still engaged." What?
Yeah, she makes a lot of assumptions, doesn't she?
Yeah, ask it, ask it immediately, because he's obviously already been lying about it the whole time to her. If she had no idea it was happening,
Yeah.
very, very trusting. But again, it's this unrequited love thing. It's all a bit unbelievable. Even for a rom-com, and I mean, I'm like, some of them do take some leaps. This is definitely one of them.
I think this is a bit of a spoiler to like, not really a spoiler, but to my least favourite part of the film is any time Iris interacts with Jasper. And I don't know what it is. Like, I really rate Kate Winslet as an actress. I think she is great. But those scenes between her and Jasper feel so poorly acted. I don't know what it like. It feels so unnatural, so uncomfortable. Like I don't believe there was a spark there at all during any of them.
I 100% agree with you there. Yeah, they're very clinical in their execution. Yeah,
I hadn't noticed that, but I now want to rewatch the scenes.
it's just
Just
it
all
it
the
doesn't
lines
feel
are
like there's any love
awkward
there.
and
Yeah.
they're just not delivered naturally. And it's like when I go back to the bit at the start when he comes in with the present and without a present, and then she goes, "Oh, don't go. Let me just finish this." And it's just like, what character are you? You're not that character there. It's very strange in my opinion, but
Perhaps I didn't get on well on set or something.
it could be something as simple as that, or they were overthinking the whole. It needs to be like tense and not trying to second guess what each one is saying and doing. But it just comes across as feel like you two in real life hate each other, or were very didn't know what to say to each other, and the lines didn't help.
Yeah, I think it's definitely him as well. A lot of he doesn't seem at all interested in her. Like, he's trying to pretend like he is, but just sort of is there. Well, yeah.
Can't you see how confused I am? No, like, explain it then. Like, what is the confusion?
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. That's a very good point. But at least, obviously, no. I think that's a good point, well made.
He's
but
a
then
goner
obviously,
anyway.
At least that she realises that point. We have some sort of. She stands at the door and celebrates herself in a weird way that I'm sure no one actually does in real life. When she throws her hands up in the air, like, what? Who does this? But anyway, I'm glad this is the only bit of the Arthur story that I actually liked. When they walk into the auditorium and everyone's there cheering for him. I was like,
It's a lovely moment.
You know it's going to happen. You know it's going to be full of people, but it was still a real nice moment. And I enjoyed that. I was just like, it's good. You feel your heart is warmed by that moment.
Takes the steps himself as well.
Yeah.
Like, yes, get in.
Yeah, that's that's probably the best part of the film for me. That bit. Like, I really enjoyed that bit.
Yeah.
But then, Iris is so invested in his speech, and Miles, Jack Black, turns up like just slightly late to it, and you can tell Iris is really listening to what Arthur's saying, and Miles keeps asking her questions and be like, "What you doing New Year's?" And she's like, "I don't know. I'm going home."
I didn't see it like that at all.
I'm trying to listen to this. Stop talking.
See, because they've both got like real like smiles on their faces, like they're like both pleased that they've finally happened to me. Like she never come across as bothered.
Oh well, no, that's probably me in that situation.
Yeah,
I will go on a date with you, but please let me watch this.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. And then it's over the other end of the pond. It's a man. Well, Jude Law confesses his love to Cameron Diaz's character, and she's like, "Well, long distance ain't gonna work, so it's a no from me."
With a terrible scene for continuity, where her hair is all over the place. Watch it next time. It's like it's on a shoulder, it's off. It's on a shoulder, it's off. It's up. It's messy. It's
Is
terrible.
it?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to watch that.
Obviously refilmed a couple of times.
And then on the way to the airport, she starts to cry.
That's when she
I love
knows. She knows.
But she starts having these, like, she starts holding her chest again, like, and I'm thinking, oh, finally we're going to get the payoff for these pills now that we've seen all the sort of start of the film. But no, she just cries instead, which is like, it's good. She cries finally, okay.
And we get a trailer voiceover back, don't we?
Random voiceover thing.
Amanda Woods, it's back.
And it's just, and then she gets out of the car and runs all the way back for no reason, like, in high heels.
Oh, because it's love, Mark.
It's literally the rom-com staple. Let's have someone run somewhere for no reason at all.
Maybe she wanted the exercise.
Well, maybe, yeah. She might have had a fitness tracker on, but she gets like halfway and has to catch her breath, which I think is a very like funny and real moment.
Yeah.
Kind of, bloody hell, this is a long way actually. But she then gets to the gate to the house, stops, and has that kind of, shall I go in? Like, we're not going to run back now, are you? Go in.
One last
It's
moment.
so unnecessary. Oh, just stay in the car and then it turn around and go back. Like in the work, like those. I refuse to believe
Sometimes
someone could
love
run that whole way in
drives-
high heels.
Love makes you do crazy things.
No, not that crazy. I'm sorry. Stay in the car. In snow, in high heels. No.
I have to say, the next bit does upset me.
Good.
The fact that Jack Black and Iris have all flown, they're all in the UK together dancing. It really completely bothers me because none of their relationships have any chance in working.
Yeah, well, and so this is because that is the end of the film now, and I'm a bit like, I remember looking, thinking, well, that was a slog, and then like, oh, we're not going to see any payoff of this at all, other than the fact that they're all in this house together because she's agreed to spend New Year with him, and obviously Amanda stayed. And
It doesn't answer the question of what they're going to do about the long distance relationship at all.
Like, what's going to happen with this film? Like, I feel like it's still got a sad ending. Like, all right, well, everyone, New Year's over, back to the grind.
I suppose it's life, isn't it? Not everything works out perfectly, but
That's not how it's made to look.
And I know we're allowed to leave endings open to interpretation and whatnot, but you do kind of feel like, oh, she doesn't really know. Well, Iris doesn't know Miles that well. Yet he's travelled to a different country to stay.
Yeah.
Like that could go very wrong quickly.
There's so many questions about it. It's such a, I mean, it's, I don't know. I found it all, apparently, like, that last scene is the very first scene they filmed, apparently. Because it's the only scene they're actually all together.
All together, yeah.
And it's that's how they started off filming. But it must be odd way to do things. Start the film where you're at the end point. So like the characters are all together at that point, but they haven't actually had that journey themselves as actors. I don't know. I've never really been in a film like that before, but it must be hard to immediately jump into that end game. That's a sign of a good actor, I guess.
Well, possibly, but I mean, it's obviously common for them to shoot out a sequence, but it's like the Bohemian Rhapsody. To take a tangent, sorry, they filmed the Wembley performance first.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, like, you have to be in character to do that as best as you will be.
Yeah.
Which is strange, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely when you think about it. But yeah, it's a problematic ending. And I got to say, I was just going to say, like, I must admit, when that ending happened, I was a bit like, oh, okay. Do you know what? I'm really hoping we're going to see some like photos over the credits or stuff to sort of what happened next. I genuinely was like, all right, I'm a little bit invested at this point. What goes on next? And nothing. There's just nothing. Just black screen credits, and I was just like, wow, way to leave us just hanging on a thread. So, go on then, conclude us up, Taylor.
In hindsight, I still think it's a good Christmas film. And it does hold up today.
I would go along with that. I have so many problems and conflicts with this film. I mean, for instance, the fact that both women decide to go on this journey to find themselves, and the upshot of that is they're not happy until they are in a relationship with a man.
Yeah.
It's a bit like, okay, right. But I watch this film every year.
It doesn't have any outrageous things like boobs or guns or all of whatever other films we've watched have. The points that are just like they're not today.
You're right. It is very boring.
It helps it hold up, but it does help it keep it. What do you think, Mark? Go on.
I found it entirely too long for a start. Like, that could have been... You could cut half an hour out of that film and you still wouldn't lose anything out of it. But it would be a lot... It would just move at a better pace. There's a lot of stuff that just takes too long to happen. Like I said, the whole scene... The whole part with them having first changed houses and, like, her driving down the wrong side of the road, because we've never seen that in a film before. Like, just driving down roads like that in Surrey, which looked like it was a road in Cornwall because it was that tight a road. I was like, I don't think there's that many roads like that in Surrey anyway. It was so long. It was just too long. It's not the worst film I've seen. It's not terrible. It's just kind of to me. It was just a bit humdrum. It happened. It was there. It's the sort of film that I could put on and not really watch it. Like, it will probably go into my Christmas rotation, but it's not a film I would actively sit down and watch intently. It just kind of... and I still maintain that it's not that Christmassy.
It kind of feels like a made-for-TV movie, like, like a Hallmark Channel Christmas film, but with A-listers in.
Yeah, absolutely.
If that makes sense.
It's just too long for me. I think it would have been a much better film. Could have a tight 90 minutes, and that would have been a much quicker film. Cut the old man plot out completely.
They do cram a lot of exposition and subplots and into the, and I think you're right. A lot of them, I would probably cut the Jack Black bit.
I'd agree. It's like life. Life is messy. Life has subplots.
I think, to be fair,
do you want to see him?
From a more modern standpoint, to actually cut the Jack Black bit out and have the fact that she can get over that relationship by using that as a reason would be a much better way of doing it. And like you said, it does feel like she has to have some sort of romantic thing by the end of it for her life to suddenly be complete. And that's a shame. But that's just how times have moved on. I mean...
Yeah.
And I don't think people would watch rom-coms as much if there wasn't a lot of rom in it. Which is perhaps why they've died off a bit. People don't...
quite possibly. And if you put a trailer together with here's Kate Winslet falling in love with a 90-year-old man... I don't know whether that's going to get people to the cinema or
probably
not. I don't know.
A weird crowd, maybe.
I liked it.
It holds up because it's just so vanilla that there's really nothing that isn't that offensive in it. I mean,
so in hindsight, we're saying that this isn't a great film or maybe even a good film, but it's all right.
It's a film. It's a Christmas film.
Put it on at Christmas. In the background, and you won't be offended. You might be bored, but you won't be offended.
Okay, good. And then just finally, quickly, Mark, did you have a favourite part of the film?
I think two favourite bits, and I couldn't really pick because they're so different. I did enjoy Mr. Napkin Head as a random moment of Jude Law. And like I said, I like the heartwarming bit where he walks into the auditorium and everyone claps. That's a nice moment. So those two bits are top for me. And then the rest of it is way down the bottom.
I like the iconic moment where she pulls a suitcase when she first goes up to the cottage and we first see the cottage. What about
I agree.
you?
That's my. I was going to say the exact same thing. It gets me right in the spirit of things, thinking, and I want to live in the countryside. I want to live in that cottage. I want that to be my home.
It's a fake cottage.
It's fake. I did confirm this while we were off air.
I went
and looked it up. It's like made out of cardboard. So
yeah.
it's not real. I know, very
It
sad.
look at it again next time you watch it, and actually look at it, and it doesn't fit in with the scenery at all. It just sits there like a weird cardboard cottage. And also, I've got to just say it, but like,
Here we go.
I know I've already said it anyway, but so she works in London for the Daily Telegraph, but lives in this remote cottage in the back end of Surrey. How does she get to work every day? It must take her 3 hours to get to work, because she must have to drive to somewhere that's got a station and then commute. You wouldn't live there. If you worked in London, you would not live in a tiny cottage in the back end of nowhere.
Maybe it's her second house.
Disagree.
Who's
I'm out.
looking after a dog? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, that dog that we see once and then never again, really.
Okay. Well, that's the holiday. Okay, everyone. It's now come to the time where we decide what we're going to be watching for the next episode, and you get your homework. So I'm going to spin the magic wheel, which will decide the year. Oh, 1992.
Oh!
What a year.
I'm going to react.
You remember it well.
Yeah, every year we'll get the same reaction out of us, I'm sure, won't it?
Well, in 1992, that gives me some, great options. I mean, it could be The Bodyguard, could be Aladdin. There's so many films, but I've made my decision, and we're going to watch Reservoir Dogs.
Wow. Oh.
I really hope that at least one dog is featured in this film.
You are going to be disappointed.
I hope there's a large body of water in this film. There's no reservoir, no dogs.
Yes.
I really, really can't wait.
I can't wait for your reaction to this film. But I'm looking forward to it. I have not seen this film in a long, long, long time. And I'm not even sure I ever watched the whole film through. So, looking forward to that, definitely.
I've never seen it. No, never even.
Not on your Christmas rotation each year.
No, sadly, believe it or not, no.
Oh, strange. Right, but otherwise, I think that's it, isn't it, guys?
I think so. Yeah, it's been a while, but I think we've got to the end.
Yeah, well, it's good to be back. I think.
Definitely.
Before we go, remember you can subscribe to us on your preferred podcast platforms so you get every episode as it releases. Yes, please do. And if you like the show, remember to give us a review on Apple Podcasts. It helps the algorithm. 5-star review would be good, just saying.
We'll take 4.
No pressure.
Yeah, just if you feel kind. It helps with the exposure. And remember, you can get in touch via that'shindsight@gmail.com. And you can follow us on the social medias, Facebook and Twitter @that'shindsight, and Instagram @that'hindsightpod.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Like a professional.
Yes, thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.